Hill climbs are a pretty simple affair. You find a hill, usually it's going to be short and steep, and see who can ride up the fastest. It's a totally low-key amateur discipline within cycling, and I love it. I knew for 2016 the Nationals were going to be on a course that would really suit a fixed gear bike, and there was kind of nothing on the market that really fitted the bill. I got in touch with the guys at Engineered Bicycles. The idea was to build me the most specific and simple machine possible for that race.
Engineered Bicycles is a company I started about 3 or 4 years ago, and it really was to try to create the bicycles that I wanted to ride. The real ethos of the company is bicycles where form follows function, so design without any superfluous details, just really about making the best bikes we can.
We knew that it was going to be a big challenge to deliver a bike that's so specific for such a specialist purpose that in every aspect of it we're going to have to think beyond our normal thought process.
A hill climb bike, and especially a fixed hill climb specific bicycle, is something that's very unusual and doesn't really fit into any category that you can immediately draw off. So it's not a road bike, it's not a fixed wheel sort of track bike. He didn't really want something that was noodly and squirrely and that would essentially be the lightest thing he could get, but also wanted to maintain good stiffness for both drive efficiency as well as keeping the handling characteristics of the bike sensible. It needed to really work in the real world.
As with all our customers, I really try and get to know what the bike's going to mean to them and how they're going to feel about riding it. So because this is a hill climb specific bike, I really geeked out and looked into the history of hill climbing and really into the history of the bikes, how they took their forms and what people did to them.
The hill climb season, it doesn't last that long, but it's a really intense 2-month period, and you can often find yourself racing 4 times on a weekend. It all boils down to the National Championships, which is always on the last Sunday in October. Everyone wants to be at the peak, both in terms of their fitness and their equipment. It's just kind of one last huge effort before you get to chill out over winter. This means getting your body and your bike as light as possible.
We started coming up with just lots of ideas of how we could actually take weight out of the bike without compromising either the riding characteristics or the power transfer characteristics of the frame. One of the most traditional ways of getting weight out of hill climb bikes has been drilling. So really trying to see where we could drill and which bits of the frame we could drill out and just remove material from.
Even though we weren't actually going to drill the frame, I wanted to make the graphics look as realistic as possible. I worked with David quite closely to get a drilling pattern that's actually physically a perfect drilling pattern and structurally sound. Each circle is offset at a 60-degree angle, so if we were to drill the frame, that's exactly where we'd do it.
We use a scandium aluminium alloy. What the material allows us to do is use much thinner wall thicknesses than you would with a normal aluminium alloy. We've joined the material not with just conventional welds, but with a double pass weld that is actually smoothed down, so actually literally filed down by hand. It's quite a time-consuming and tedious process, but what it does is it takes away all the little valleys and rifts within the weld, which create stress concentrations. So it actually makes the weld stronger. The happy coincidence of the approach is that it actually makes it look really good as well. One of the other weight-saving measures that we took was replacing the aluminium seat tube with a carbon seat tube. Carbon being obviously a very light and lightweight material, we could take out probably around 100 grams out of the frame. We decided to just stick with using a threaded bottom bracket rather than go with some of the crazier press fit alternatives. They may have been a bit lighter, but in terms of long-term maintainability and simply compatibility with parts, it just made a lot more sense.
As a graphic designer, one of the main challenges was carrying through the ethos of this bike with the weight reduction. We knew from the outset that adding paint to the bike would put on a good couple of 100 grams with the paint and the lacquer, which gave us freedom to think about polishing. We're really lucky here in Bristol that we're surrounded by some amazing craftsmen who've been applying their trade for years and years, so it gave us the confidence to really get our ideas across and execute the frame to the level that we really wanted to achieve. The first port of call was the polishers to achieve the mirrored polish on all the metal areas. Then next it was on to the bead blasters. We made our masks and individually weeded out all of the holes, applied the masks to the frame and then handed it over for blasting to be done. This was a bit scary because we only have one shot at it. Literally the slightest of passes to put the graphics on and remove that material. Thankfully we got it right first time and yeah, so pleased and excited with the results.
Seeing the bike built up for the first time was really amazing. You know, it came in about bang on what we thought of 5.1 kilos. I was really fortunate I was able to spec it with some super light parts, but as I was going to be doing all my training as well as racing on it, they had to work on a kind of day-to-day basis as well.
It's always so exciting to see a bike finished that was in your sketchbook and then is now in front of you.
And something that's so focused and so specific in its goals. As a designer and an engineer, that's where the joy is, really doing something that's unusual and stretches the grey matter.
I know I'm never going to win the national championships, but I guess I just wanted to do the guys' efforts justice by hopefully getting a top 20 finish. For me, I'd be really pleased with that.